Hello, my beautiful friends, family. Thank you for joining me here as I talk about one of the things that will definitely put the manifestations and put your creation on a serious hold or might even call in the wrong things. It's numbing out, and it is something that our society is very prone to do because, again, we live in a instant gratification culture. We live in a very chaotic culture. We live in a culture of wanting to provide solutions for problems that we can fix by going within ourselves. And this also includes substances of all kinds, alcohol, drugs, even watching TV, even avoidance. Sometimes, oftentimes, when we don't want to face ourselves or go into ourselves or even be comfortable being uncomfortable, we'll tend to avoid that and go into something that's going to distract us. Sometimes, speaking from experience, whenever I was in a difficult situation, I would numb out for sure, and it would help me enjoy my situation more rather than just being at peace with the situation that I was in. And so it is so common for a lot of us in society, a lot of humans in society, to want things to make us feel better. But the thing is it's temporary. If we feel better for a moment, say having a glass of wine or two or three or a bottle of wine, if things are really difficult to deal with at home or in life, it may make things okay for just a little bit of time, but then it will get worse the next day, or basically the problems that have been avoided will still be there. And if not still be there, if they are not only still there, they might even get worse. So this is a thing with our society, is that we are really, on one hand, evolving in such a beautiful way, really growing and expanding into a higher state of consciousness, into a higher awareness. But there's still there's still a lot of struggle. There's still a lot of difficulty. And when you're doing this work, being a conscious manifester, conscious creator of your reality, looking for a heightened spiritual practice, looking to gain more peace and flow with your life, moving into a higher state of consciousness, whatever it is, it does require transformation. It does require going through the motions of being comfortable, being uncomfortable. And this isn't easy, and I go through it myself. Like I said in some of my other videos, I have days where I am great. I have weeks where I am great. I have days where I am not great, and stuff comes up. There's stuff so embedded in our subconscious that we have to keep facing, and we have to keep trying to understand what that is when it shows up for us. And we have to feel comfortable being uncomfortable and face our shadows, face our history, our dark side, our challenges. And this is one thing that we're not taught. We're not taught how to feel. We're not taught how to go into the areas of our life that are uncomfortable. A lot of the times we sweep it under the rug, or we distract, or we numb out just to get by, just to cope. But if we don't know, we don't know. If we don't know how to deal with it, we don't know. We just use what we can, or we'll find solutions in whatever way possible. But if we don't have the access to this kind of practice, or something that is going to help offer a healthier solution to work through that problem, then yes, numbing out is going to be the solution. That's going to be the answer. We're human. We all fall. We all go through the hard stuff. We all go through the challenges. So numbing can be distractions and avoidance. It doesn't have to be just going to a substance solution. It can also be just cutting people out, cutting a situation out. If we have problems at home, it could be as just avoiding it altogether, not wanting to deal with it, not wanting to face maybe some anger or hostility or just maybe toxic behavior, instead of completely avoiding it and turning your back to it, numbing it out, maybe watching movies, watching TV, not wanting to face something. And there's nothing wrong with taking time out. There's nothing wrong with taking time out. There's nothing wrong with just turning things off and watching Netflix, or there's nothing wrong with having a glass of wine either. Nothing. But the thing is, we have to gain a lot of awareness within ourselves for the reason for maybe even having that being part of a regular occurrence. Is that a pattern? Is that a habit? Is that something that you go through or go to as a go-to, as something that will help you get through a certain situation? If it's something you need, if it's something that you gravitate towards when things might be going rough, or when you're in a state of confusion, or when things might not be very clear, or maybe you're just wanting to get a break from life. And like I said, there's absolutely nothing with taking a break from life, but the more that we do of this internal work going inward, then the less we are going to need of the numbing out, of the distractions, of the avoidance. So this is, again, part of the manifestation, part of us moving into a higher state of consciousness. So when I do this manifestation work, at the base of it all, and I've mentioned this before, the base and the foundation is us returning to ourself, to our center, remembering who we are, moving into a higher state of higher frequency, higher experience, higher state of consciousness. It is reprogramming ourselves and moving away from the programs and belief systems that we have adopted and inherited throughout our life, essentially, and past life, which I will get into that shortly in another video. But right here, when we go into substances or when we numb things out, we're basically stopping our manifestation. We're stopping movement, and the ugly and the gross and the uncomfortable is part of our movement. It is part of our transformation. It is somewhere we do need to go, because again, once we go through that, and as uncomfortable and hard, as uncomfortable and difficult as it might be, we still need to go there, because once we get through it, then we get through it. But if we avoid it and we numb it out, then it will never leave, and we will be facing the same thing over and over, and sometimes it will get worse and worse until we deal with it, until we look at it and we say, okay, I need to work on this. How can I work on it? And then you find the necessary steps to do so. The substances are a big part of it, because again, when we go through, I'll use drinking wine as an example. This was my thing. When I would often use it to cope through certain situations. I would use it if I was bored, because I couldn't maybe handle a situation. I couldn't be at peace in a certain situation. So I would turn to that, maybe just for some enjoyment, just to have fun maybe. And look, again, there's nothing wrong with cutting loose and having a good time and having fun. I'm all about it. But if it is a regular thing, if it's a need and a go-to and a habit and something that is, I need this to distract or have fun, or again, deal with something, or life is too hard, or the situation's too hard, I need to turn to this, then that is avoidance and numbing out from life experience, from reality. This isn't an easy journey, our life experience, especially going through healing, especially going through transformation, but it does get better when we face the moments we need to face, when we also go into our shadow work, when we do go into that work. And there's nothing wrong with feeling sad, and there's nothing wrong with feeling depressed, and there's nothing wrong with feeling angry. There's nothing wrong with feeling in fear. And also too, sometimes there can be this misconception within the spiritual industry or realm that if you are in fear, if you're sad, if you're angry, that's a negative energy and you don't want to be there. There's something wrong with you. And truthfully, actually, for the last year, when I was really doing some work, I just kept going through a lot of the same things over and over and over again. And I kept feeling like there was something wrong with me. I kept feeling like I would never get out of it. I took a lot of probably responsibility, or unnecessary responsibility or energy, on myself because of because of my self-suffering, essentially. So we have to also be very kind and gentle with ourselves and not put a lot of pressure on timelines. When is this going to get better, or when are things going to change? But be in the present. And this is the powerful exercise of being in the present moment, because again, our lives are so multidimensional in this lifetime, meaning there are so many things happening within us at any given moment. And the more in our present moment that we become, the more dialed in we are with ourselves and other people and our environment. And within ourselves, there are so many things going on: thoughts, feelings as in emotional feelings, and feelings like of energy, of relationships, interacting. If you're in your mind a lot, then there are a lot of thoughts going on. So there are a lot of things to really understand, and also our own body work, our healing energy work in that sense as well. So there's so much that can be learned in stillness. There's so much that can be learned being in the present moment. Again, without the avoidance or numbing. And when we do the numbing, when we come into the avoidance or numbing, then it's a temporary fix. And oftentimes, especially with alcohol, there will be fun, or with substances. I don't know, some other substances, I'm sure it's the same or similar anyway, where you get into a little bit of a high, things seem really nice, and then the next day or afterwards, there's a low, and you go really low. And that's where it puts a big toll on our body, our hormones, our mental state. It actually makes things worse. So not only is it temporary, but it actually makes our situation and our experience worse. And it stops our manifestation. It stops us from evolving, from us growing, from us healing, from transforming, from claiming our manifestation and being confident in, yes, I am making this happen. I'm going towards my future. I am taking the right steps towards where I need to go. And again, if you fall into, I call it the ditch, and I still go into it. When I go into the ditch, there is, and by that I mean going into the hard moment, going into something that is very difficult, going into a moment where it sucks, essentially. It's really tough. It's really awful. The more awareness that we have, the more awareness we have of our thoughts. And we can work through that in a healthy way without having to numb out or distract ourselves. So we can face that and just sit and understand what's playing out and seeing it as maybe not being part of that situation or that story, or go through the proper transformation and healing work to really hit it, to really nail it, and to let it go immediately. And that work will continue on, and it will get easier and easier and lighter and lighter. And like I said, I'm not saying that I'm perfect, and I'm not saying that it will be a perfect journey. And we need to let go of perfectionism as well with this, for sure. Especially, I've come from a perfectionist. I've had that on me. So there's a very important need to just let go of, be comfortable with things being a bit messy, is all I can say. Be comfortable with things being a little bit disorganized or messy in the mind or the way the system works. Because again, there's no hand guide, there's no rule book. But the more that you understand and feel into yourself, then you're going to know what works, what doesn't, how to work through things, and you become more empowered, you become stronger, and you can face anything. You can face anything with confidence, with love, with compassion, with understanding within yourself, with other people. And that is going to be far better than what anything can provide you. The outside crutch, or the numb, or the distraction, or something of that nature. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with having a good time. There really isn't. It just is being aware of using it as part of the ritual, the daily ritual, or to get through something, right? So don't be afraid of the shadow. Don't be afraid of going into the ugly, right? Going into feelings of uncomfortableness, because we need to go there to understand ourselves and to understand our past and to understand what can be changed and altered and healed with kindness and compassion, so that I can move on, so that you can move on, so that you can start creating the future that you desire, so that you can manifest whatever you like, the meaningful relationships, the healthy body, the healthy environment, success, confidence, all those things. All right, so I think that's all I wanted to say with this one. It is very important, again, part of manifestation, being in the present, when we are within our body, when we are fully tuned in, when we're dialed in, we can also have a far, far better experience, far more meaningful, richer, and powerful when we are pure, when we are in our pure energy, when we are in our pure source energy. We get a lot of ideas, we get a lot of downloads, we are more present, we feel more, and by that, again, I mean feeling energy, feeling people, feeling situations, understanding situations. Intuition gets heightened, right? So there's a lot, and then we just know, we have a greater, deeper knowing, we have a greater connection with the universe, with ourselves, with nature, with life, with relationships, all of it. So it does help us to gain more of an understanding of not only ourselves, but everything around us as well. All right, so I do hope that is offering some assistance, some help along the way. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. I always love hearing from everyone. And I'm wishing you nothing but the best during your manifestation journey. I'll see you soon.